Hey everyone, I want to talk about shadow work today. Now, I want to first mention that I've learned about the shadow and shadow work and everything whilst learning and working with tarot. Dropped a card there. And I'm finding lately that the method of talking to your deck, kind of like treating it as a conversation, really works well. Because we can be a little bit fuzzy in the mind about shadow, obviously, but also just these times are really, they're heavy. The air is heavy, and I feel that talking to your deck, and I will explain this, kind of makes the whole process of doing shadow work a little bit more natural, or what's the word, organic. Now, I quickly, not so quickly, want to say about Black Lives Matter in our community. I saw Benabel Wen's video, and actually Will from Atypical Tarot said it first, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure who said it first, but what they said came true, that for instance, I saw that for me in my videos addressing this racial issue has way more dislikes than any of my other videos on other topics. So maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm naive in thinking most of those dislikes, at least most of those dislikes, came from outside the tarot community. In my mind, when I said that I was happy that people got the video because it was a little bit of a strange video to make, the What Color Is Your Tarot Collection, for instance, that was the first one. I consider that the first one. And I was thanking the community, the lovely community we have, that the dislikes and the hateful and ignorant comments actually came from crazy people, looking online, trying to find the Black Lives Matter hashtag or something like that, and then try to convince the world that there is no problem. Because I don't know, is that just me? Do other people find videos with such little views as I have? Because I'm still a small channel, and I'm very grateful. But that got me thinking. Benabel really approached it as it must come from within the tarot community, each and every one of these comments and dislikes. But in my mind, I was thinking that just simply wasn't the case. Couldn't be the case. But maybe she's right. I don't know. Either way, that definitely works with the topic of shadow work. And I am going to talk about that more in this video. So the topic of shadow work was requested, and I just hope that this is helpful. Because it's such a huge thing, but it's also personal. You know what I mean? The way that I feel works best for me may not work best for you. What I like to do is, sometimes I don't have a topic in mind. And if you don't have a topic in mind, then the cards can provide one. If you do have a topic in mind, sorry, not sorry, I have my notes on this side, so I don't forget to say anything. The cards will suggest, and these have the potential to be spread positions. Where does this shadow come from? First card, where it comes from. There's already a lot to unpack here, often. The second question can be, what keeps you from changing this behavior, for instance, if we're talking about behavior, or mindset, or, And then how to go on from here. And this is what represents the start of the work, not the end. By doing this once or 10 times doesn't mean we are done. This is just the beginning of the work, the start of the work, and I've talked about this in another video that I did. But I kind of want to say that the second card, the one that says what keeps you from changing this behavior, what keeps you from changing is the hardest message to take in. But actually, I think the first card already does that, and the second card as well, and the third card is also hard. So these are kind of like difficult questions, I think. By all means, if you have found your own you know, shadow work spread or something like that, use that one if you feel it works well. But I feel that even though this is not my shadow work spread, if you will, this is at least a beginning. You know, these are at least, I feel, good questions to work with and to unpack. So I think these are all good questions that you can ask your deck. Now, of course, for shadow work itself, you don't even really need a tarot deck. But, and I feel that this is undeniable, at least in my book, the cards really do steer us in a certain direction. The cards steer our thoughts in a certain direction most of the time when doing shadow work, out of the patterns that we usually go to or find ourselves in. The sacred randomness of using the tarot in this way suggests other things, suggests other options, if you are able to successfully read the cards objectively. And I'm not saying that I can and you can't, I just mean that it takes practice, and it takes a certain, eye, I guess, just experience with your own cards, and also understanding of what shadow work is and what the shadow is and what your personal shadows are. And we're also going to talk a little bit about collective shadow work. Just started looking into that consciously, and it's very important. So it takes practice, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes the ability to reflect. And maybe most difficult of all, takes the ability to be honest. It takes honesty to do real shadow work, right? But when we do it, it's so good, it's so helpful going into that dark place, and then coming out at least more aware, and then along the way stronger, more powerful. It's amazing how good we human beings are at lying to ourselves. I don't think there's any other being who fools themselves as hard as human beings have the ability to do. Ultimately, I kind of feel that one bit of shadow unveils another bit of shadow, and then another, and before you know it, you've uncovered a huge pattern you're in, and you've been in a huge chunk of your life. At least that's a possibility. Shining light on the shadow is the only way to see it, to recognize it, to then get to know it or to understand it. Then accept that it's a part of you, and from there you find the knowledge to make better decisions. For instance, to take some power back. So as I said, there's an important thing that I came across, which is the collective shadow. And it is so important to work with, I found, immediately. I don't know how, sure, it was in my practice, but it was never consciously a part of it. So, you know what I mean? Shadow work until now definitely was way more, I almost wanted to say behind closed doors. Which, sure, it's very personal. But it's also personal because you're part of a group, whether you like it or not. You're part of a collective, whether you like it or not. So the collective, of course, does, in the end, become personal, or is personal. But there's a whole twist in that already. Just maybe accepting that is already a shadow. So I'm just going to try to say what I want to say. Whatever topic about this collective is shadowy for you, you know that there is some stuff to uncover. And when you see it and basically take accountability for it, for your part in this collective shadow, you are ultimately becoming a part of the solution. Because the minute you discover a shadow and you accept it is yours, you are doing shadow work. I feel that I may be wrong, but that is what I found. One of the biggest shadows regarding Black Lives Matter is denial at the moment. And I mean denial that it is your problem. Whoever is watching, and also the person saying it, right? It is everyone's problem. Take the responsibility. Don't push it away as to say, this is not my problem, I am not the problem. Do your part. Even if it's just starting with these 3 questions, these 3 simple spread positions. And yes, it is important to, everything that I listed, it's important to be able to be patient. It's important to be able to reflect. It's important to be able to be honest with yourself. Easier said than done. We all know this. But at least give it a go, and in case you haven't done it. Yeah, just try it. That is, if this video sucks, then at least that is my message for one person watching today. I obviously wanted to include why I like tarot specifically for shadow work, for any type of shadow work. I must admit, I do use any of my decks for shadow work, but from my perspective, there is a big difference between using a traditional tarot versus oracle cards. I feel until now oracle cards put the biggest emphasis on using your intuition first, like soul cards, for instance. Here we go. And I'm using soul cards as an example because I have them. I have soul cards too. I hope you can see my point where I'm saying it may be a little hard without us noticing to get an objective message from intuitive cards alone. And maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to hang on to a certain system. But actually, I can't imagine this is not at least a little bit true for everyone. Hope you know what I mean. So I'd say if you want to use these types of decks, because, you know, soul cards is the best example for intuition cards, I'd say combine them with tarot if you're about that. Let's just keep looking at these cards because they really are beautiful, aren't they? I know there's also something to say for these types of intuition messages. I'm not saying they're not deep. I'm saying they can be just a little bit more vague or open to interpretation, which is the whole point. I get that. That is why we love them. But, you know, they could lack the directness that tarot can bring. And that can be necessary to receive as a message. There's a real disagreement kind of feeling that you can have with tarot, which I feel we do not really get with cards that focus on, you know, using them with only your intuition. And I feel that disagreement that we can have with tarot is exactly what we should explore, if you know what I mean. I mean, we're talking shadow work here, so there's gonna be some painful digging, whether you like it or not. Sorry, that got a little real. Let's go back to these. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Reading with, as I call them, intuition cards. More than reading with tarot, all depends on factors like what's the question, what mood are you, the reader, in, etc. And it can be either helpful or less helpful to not be steered as strongly in a certain direction, which I find tarot can do more clearly than intuition cards. Either way, I'd say journal. Yeah? Write everything down. Let your thoughts take you wherever they need to go, even if it's something that appears to be completely unrelated. Trust me, it's a part of it. It's a part of something that just needed to come up, needed to be resurfaced, and then, yeah, just let your mind kind of go free, I'd say, with the journaling. Now, journaling is what works for me. I know that writing something down, of course, takes much longer than having the thought or even saying it out loud. So just use whatever method works for you. But for me, writing things down is good. I can also easily come back to it. But what I was trying to say is when your thoughts take you way out there, don't forget to also, which is good, don't forget to also come back to the core message, if you will, the core shadow message, so that you kind of tie it all together again. It's like sometimes it's necessary to go through some thoughts or memories before then arriving back to the shadow message. Now, shining light on the shadow makes the subconscious conscious. And therefore, what initially happens, from my experience, is that you discover a previously lost part of yourself. Now, with this work, we are bringing things into the conscious mind, making whole, integrating, so that all of these lost through life pieces of yourself can return to you. And now you are aware and you come from a position of power. That's an important one, I feel. However badly I said it, however badly it was formulated, having the devil card right here at this moment, I'm just going to say it again. These lost through life pieces of yourself return to you, and now you are aware of those pieces being a part of yourself. That means that you then, from then on in, come from a position of power. I just wanted to include this idea, which I also like, is that by understanding ourselves, we do come a little bit closer to understanding the world around us. And that, of course, has to do with the whole collective shadow. So yeah, I am looking into the collective shadow and how to work with it, on it. I feel that it's important whether we like it or not, because as I said, we are all a part of a collective, at least. So I've started doing this by just shuffling the deck, how I usually do it, and I just ask one question. That's also a way of having a conversation with my deck, taking a topic in mind and then drawing one single card for it. Because I feel at this point, as I said in the very beginning of the video, I feel for many of us, and myself included, we're a little bit fuzzy on some things. So one card maybe is just a good start, if you know what I mean, to make it less confusing. Wow, okay, I'm taking this as a message, because this is the second time that I actually pulled this card, the Two of Swords, within this video, okay? So there's something there for me. Whew, maybe it is about just opening the eye, opening the mind for communication, and then actually asking the tougher questions, and actually getting a little more deep into it even. And looking at things as not in the sense of what are my options, but rather choice. The choices I make now, they determine who I am going to be tomorrow. What if this is for the collective, huh? Yeah, it's no longer you alone, is it? It's no longer your own thoughts, your own ideas. You are connected. And yes, there's going to be some bumps in the road. Oh, that's an understatement. I meant to say there's going to be some disagreement at least, you know? Some very different points of view. But where do you stand? And do you really stand there? There's more to unpack there. Anyway, that was the first card. I'm going to continue with this very real example. Okay, what I was saying is, this is what I've been doing, right? I pull one card with a topic in mind or by asking a question, and I draw one card for it. And I journal on that, and then I'm asking the next follow-up question that originates from the journal entry that I've just done. So, next question is, I am reshuffling the deck and really kind of like I say something, the tarot says something, I reflect on it by journaling on it or talking, you know, doing the reading at least, then there's that energy exchange and the second card comes up. There's the answer or the reply to that other question that is related to the answer that you just got. So that's how you make the change and the chain. And I know that this is not a new way of working with the deck. I've seen a few readers do it like this on camera at least. And I feel that, how do you say that? It's that exchange. I guess I said that correctly. It's not just, okay, I have a whole spread and these are the cards and then I get the message and then try to do something with it. This is really about going back and forth, and I kind of feel that, at least I recognize that it works right now, that I kind of need that right now regarding these more difficult topics, which, where is that? Where are the difficult videos? Where are they? Just make a video. I don't know. I don't want to tell anyone what to do. I don't want to tell anyone what to do, but I wish I could express myself better in English, especially regarding these, you know, really important topics. Anyway, it's nothing special. It's very simple, but very effective nonetheless. Dialogue, that was the word that I was looking for. I feel that it works because it's a dialogue between you and your deck, or rather a dialogue between you and your, you know, yourself that is being steered, the thoughts are being steered in a certain direction by the tarot cards. And I feel that it's good because I feel that the spread positions are not set. That means that it's not only more natural and organic, but it's also that there are better, more accurate questions that are coming up. And I think that's very important. So I hope I've explained this well enough, at least. These were mostly some thoughts, I guess, on shadow work and shadow work for the collective. Isn't it good to at least address it? And isn't this, however unclear the video was, or you know, unprepared, sorry, the video was, isn't this proof that it's very much related? Isn't it proof that there is something that everyone can do? I'm definitely not saying that I'm perfect, absolutely not, and I do not have everything figured out, but learn and grow and share and talk about it. I don't know. If there are any questions regarding this topic, the topics that I've discussed in this video, if you feel that I've kind of glazed over it, and that's very possible because they were still a little bit unclear pieces of thoughts, I guess, then please just ask me in the comment section below. And again, I am absolutely not pretending to be perfect or on this matter or to have everything figured out, but it's not a coincidence that I've chosen to talk about Black Lives Matter in a video that's about shadow work, because however this reaches you, my intent is good. However this comes across, I'm trying to say, I do think that we could all indeed do a bit more. And last but not least, I would like to learn about this, the statistics of YouTube that Ben and Bowen was talking about, and even Will from Atypical Tarot. I never look at that stuff, so I don't know. But I did notice, like I said, the way more dislikes on, you know, shadowy topic videos. Was I right in assuming that the dislikes didn't come from within the tarot community? Within the online tarot community, or what? And is there a way to find that out? I'd like to know that as well. So this was my video about shadow work, and I just hope that whoever's watching, beginner or professional tarot reader, whatever, anything in between, that this video was helpful in one way or another, because the topic of shadow work was requested, but not a specific question about it, so I just figured let's just give some tips, I guess. Thanks for watching, and I cannot wait for the comment section to be as empty as my Dutch video about Black Lives Matter. No, instead I'm going to end with leave a comment. I just hope this was helpful. Alright? So, I'll see you later.